In the meantime, is Leno then the way to go in the middle of all of this? Because after the president departs Phoenix, he is headed to Hollywood and Jay's couch. And Town Hall's Scottie Hughes says the optics couldn't be worse. Democratic strategist Jehmu Greene says calm down. The timing actually couldn't be better. So, Scottie, you don't like this. Why?
Well, tonight marks the 6th appearance of Barack Obama on Jay Leno's Tonight Show, which gives him the record of the most presidential appearances while still in office. Add that in with his appearances on other night shows, as well as Michelle's appearance on the Oscars, and I'm beginning to think this president's more like the entertainer-in-chief than the responsibilities of the commander-in-chief.
All right, you know, Jehmu, I have no problem with the president appearing on these venues or doing the unique kind of interviews. I know he's doing Zillow.com tomorrow to talk about housing. They're unusual, they're not traditional. I guess what I do agree with Scottie on is the timing of all of this is now the time to be doing, especially if, God forbid, something bad were to happen, and in retrospect, we're seeing him kibitzing with Jay Leno on The Tonight Show. Not good?
Well, Neil, I think if you've watched our channel today, you've seen a lot of information out there about these possible terrorist attacks, and how could we, use the president's position any better than to go in front of the American people on a platform like the Jay Leno Show and say the only thing to fear is fear itself. He is sticking it to the terrorists by saying we are not going to be frozen by fear. We are not going to cower in the face of all of this chatter that's going on. That, I think, is the role of any president.
Maybe so, Jimmy, but I don't remember John Kennedy. I know John Kennedy, prior to the Cuban Missile Crisis, continued business as usual, to try to look at, try not to alarm the American people, try not to tip his hands what he knew. But I know during that crisis, when he already told the American people that a blockade was on and that war could be imminent, that he was holed up in the White House dealing with the crisis, and he wasn't appearing on, I guess, Jack Paar at the time. So I guess what I'm asking you then, Scottie, is if you are shutting down all the embassies in the Middle East, if you are talking about something that has us at tenterhooks now, is now the time to even be leaving the White House, period?
Completely not. But then again, when this terror threat was going on this weekend, he was on vacation as well as playing golf. And let's just point out that we're sitting here talking about if we knew what really happened in Benghazi and had a serious investigation, then I agree with my friend Representative Louis Gohmert that shutting down these embassies are basically a sign of cowardness. Because in reality, instead of going on Jay Leno,
that's getting a little too far. But Jehmu, what I would ask you is, do you think now, in this environment, the president risks looking like he's consistent, even to the point of calling phony scandals in remarks today on mortgages, no doubt, to say that all this dust up over these scandals is much ado about nothing, when the president himself was making a big deal, certainly about the IRS one, a little more than a few weeks ago?
Well, I think that he's being absolutely consistent in keeping a steady drumbeat on home sales.
Yeah, but he didn't call those phony scandals when they first came. He didn't call them phony scandals when they first came.
Of course he didn't call them phony scandals, because he looked at the problem, addressed it, and put steps in place so that those couldn't happen again.
No, he didn't address it. The IRS thing is still out of control. No one's talking about it.
They want to tie this to the White House, and they're looking for any string they can, strings that don't exist.
No.
But
again, the
president's
not answering, Jehmu. He's not dealing with it. He's calling it phony scandal. He said it was worth addressing, and he's not addressing it. That's a tin-ear, right?
And he apologized for it, Neil. Remember that. He apologized.
By taking steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Hope springs eternal.